watching Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
Good evening. It's Thursday, March 7th, 2002. I'm Courtney Wilson.
And I'm Susan Honorad. Tonight, our top story. The race for Lieutenant Governor is in Clarion today.
State Senator Alan Kukovich made a stop in Clarion today to talk to local leaders and Clarion University students. Students and members of the community came together this afternoon in Clarion University's Gemmell Student Complex to hear Kukovich talk about why we should all get involved in the democratic process.
But before Kukovich's speech, our Mark Despotakis had a chance to sit down and find out about the Lieutenant Governor's plans for education in Pennsylvania. That's in tonight's edition of Inside Politics.
I'm here in the Gemmell Student Complex at Clarion University with State Senator Alan Kukovich, also running for Lieutenant Governor, and that's pretty much why you're here today. You've called for, you're saying if you get in, you become Lieutenant Governor, a special session on education. And talking about education, in one of your press releases you say, the quality of one's education should not be determined by the value of the homes in the community. Could you explain what you mean by that and what your plans are there?
Okay. What I mean is that we've got 501 school districts in Pennsylvania. And there's a great disparity between the amount of money spent per student in each of those districts, as great as 3 or 4 to 1. In some poorer districts, $4,000 some dollars might be spent per student per year. In some wealthy suburban districts, it could be 12, 14, 16,000. The mission of public education is to make sure that all children get a fair chance at a quality education. And that's what I mean by the quality of one's education shouldn't depend solely on the luck of where they're born.
You're here at Clarion University today in Clarion County, and then you're going to be speaking in just a few minutes to some university students. What about higher education? We have the state system of higher education as well as other state-funded schools. Obviously, education nowadays almost always goes beyond the 12th grade and secondary ed. It goes to higher education. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, just recently I talked about how we need to have this special session, and one of the components of that session should be what to do about higher ed. Number one, we can't cut, or freeze the funds as we did last year, and now the government's calling for a 3% cut. We need to realize that spending money on our colleges, our state system, is an investment, an economic investment in our communities and in our state. And every dollar that we put in, that the state puts into a college, returns almost twice that much to the community. We need to recognize that.
Last question briefly. Every president has a vice president, and in Pennsylvania our governor has a lieutenant governor. Any talk of running mate teaming up in any way with Rendell or Casey?
Well, there's been a lot of talk, but I'm not sure if any of that is going to happen. I've been trying to run independently, and I'm fortunate to have support of many people and organizations that support Bob Casey and many who support Ed Rendell.
Senator Alan Kukovich, thank you for joining us. Courtney and Susan, we'll send it back to you.
As we said, Kukovich is a state senator from Westmoreland County, and he is seeking the lieutenant governor's nod in Pennsylvania. But here's some more facts about him. He graduated from Kent State University in 1969 with a degree in political science. He received his Juris Doctorate from Duke. We'll interview with Kukovich in about 25 minutes on Feedback with Mark Despotakis.
Here's an update to Clarion State Police investigation at the Alpha Sigma Tau sorority that was reported to have a break-in on March 1st. Police followed a trail of beer cans that led straight to Theta Xi fraternity house. After finding the cans, police received a search warrant and proceeded to find numerous amounts of drug paraphernalia. Charges are still pending in this case.
About $5 million worth of property is up for sale in both Franklin and Oil City areas, with a combined space equaling up to 6 football fields. The job of finding buyers for the hospital properties and an assortment of other buildings is up to Dick Castonguay, director of the Venango Economic Development Corporation. Castonguay was picked several weeks ago to lead a campaign aimed at handling property due to become vacant once the new $65 million UPMC Northwest Hospital in Cranberry Township is completed. Groundbreaking for the new complex is set up for March 27th, and the project is expected to take 2 years.
A Minnesota man was sentenced yesterday to serve 2 to 4 years in state prison for allegedly sexually assaulting a woman from the Knox area in March 2000. Melvin Sellier pleaded no contest to 2 counts of indecent assault in an agreement reached with Clarion County prosecutors. Other charges, including rape, aggravated indecent assault, and incest, were all dropped in the agreement. Scott White, assistant public defender, said that Sellier has been incarcerated since March 31, 2001. At Wednesday's sentencing, Clarion County Judge James Arner also ordered Sellier to pay court costs, have no contact with the victim, and not return to Clarion County except on court-related business.
An update has developed regarding a request for a change in the 1997 Community Development Block Grant Program. The request involves both Sligo and Foxburg, and the amount that is going towards each project, $30,688, will not be changing anytime soon. The Foxburg project involves water system improvements and is already under contract. Sligo wants to purchase items for its existing water system since it will be about 2 years before the Pennsylvania Water Company takes over. A hearing will be scheduled next week regarding this request.
In Pittsburgh today, the Allegheny County coroner ruled that police were justified when they fatally shot a Pittsburgh man, James Lewis, in October. Coroner Cyril Wecht held an open inquest into his death. Wecht found that Lewis had a blood alcohol level that was almost twice the state's limit of intoxication. A judge says the father of an 8-year-old girl who was strangled by the family's pet snake after she was left at home alone was proven innocent of involuntary manslaughter. Robert Mountain of Irwin, Pennsylvania, is charged with being guilty of endangering the welfare of his own child. Prosecutors say that leaving the girl home with a snake is just as dangerous as leaving your child home with a loaded weapon.
In Philadelphia this morning, 2 men were found shot in the head inside a minivan. Police have identified one of the men as Danny Jones of Pemberton, New Jersey. The other man's name is known but is being withheld until his family is notified. Police say that a gun was not found in their vehicle. Other information involving these 2 deaths is not known at this time.
A fire burned itself out today at a magnesium plant in Lawrence County. The metal will react with water, and fire officials had no choice but to let the fire burn. The fire started last night in West Pittsburgh at the Ramacore storage facility. No injuries were reported, and no one was evacuated from the site.
Up next, several priests were removed from the Catholic Church diocese.
But first, it's your turn. Your turn to let us know how you feel. Email us or call us here at TV5 and let us know what you want to hear about.
On Route 322, 1 mile east of Clarion. Bull Arena offers rock and bull every Friday and Saturday night, and a game room with 8 pool tables and arcade games. Bull Arena also offers bumper bowling for kids' birthdays and league play for adults. Call 764-3471. Again, that's 764-3471.
On September 11th, America faced terrorist attacks of the worst kind. Innocent lives were lost, and a sad cloud was cast over this great nation. These acts were intended to cause fear among all Americans, including our children. But we cannot let that happen. There are things we can do to help our kids. Talk with them, listen to them, tell them they're safe and that they're loved. God bless you, and God bless America.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant. The Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant is located at 540 Main Street in Clarion and offers dining as well as a nightclub. The restaurant and nightclub are open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant, 226-8400.
Hi everybody, I'm Brandy. How would you like to give hope to millions of the world's children? UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, is saving lives in over 140 countries by providing kids with medicine, clean water, nutrition, and education. With your help, UNICEF can make a huge difference in our world. For more information, call 1-800-FOR-KIDS. Thank you.
You're watching TV5 with Zeta Tau Alpha.
You're watching Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
Welcome back. Catholic officials in the Pittsburgh Diocese have removed several priests from church duty because of credible allegations of child sexual abuse. This followed a complete review of 2 decades worth of records using stricter standards. Reverend Ronald Langwin won't say how many priests were removed, just that it wasn't widespread. A Palestinian suicide bomber has detonated explosives in a West Bank settlement. Police say the blast went off in the entrance to a hotel in the Israeli settlement of Ariel. The explosion killed the bomber and wounded 9 other people. Earlier, Israel launched several attacks against Palestinian positions. Helicopters fired missiles on the offices of Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Arafat was meeting with European Union envoy Miguel Angel Moratinos in a nearby office. Neither were injured in the attack.
Some stunning new images of the September 11th attacks were obtained by CNN today. These 5 photographs from the Pentagon are the first ones released showing the crash of American Airlines Flight 77 into the Pentagon. They were taken from a security camera outside the building at 9:43 a.m. Eastern Time that day. The images show the massive explosion caused by the attack.
The federal government is under heavy criticism recently for the way it handles terror alerts. It is looking to change the way it disseminates the warnings. Earlier this week, a report went out that the federal government neglected to pass on a possible terrorist attack in New York City last fall. This angered local leaders who felt they should have been informed. Gene Meserve has that report.
Today, the Justice Department did issue a blanket alert.
We have notified law enforcement to continue on highest alert.
We should once again place the public on general alert.
The repeated alerts issued by the federal government since September 11th have not spelled out the threats or what to do about them.
What are we supposed to do? How do we respond? What is highest alert? What's higher alert? It becomes confusing.
Alert fatigue has set in. Although the nation has never been taken off highest alert, security and public vigilance have slacked off.
We're not able to reach enough of the people directly at risk, and we're reaching too many of the people that are not at risk. And if you warn people that are not at risk, you get a cry wolf syndrome where they say, gee, I don't think that applies to me, and yet it might.
Even federal officials say the current system is dysfunctional.
We realize that the system is not, in any way, it's not, I shouldn't say perfect, it's so far from perfect that everybody is frustrated by the warning system out there.
The new threat warning system, modeled loosely on the military's ThreatCon system, is intended to address the confusion, the complaints, and the complacency. It will color code the degrees of threat. Each code will trigger specific actions by state and local governments and federal agencies. The warnings will be geographically specific when possible. For instance, if the threat is in California, New York will not be put on alert. And the system may allow for dissemination of classified information on a need-to-know basis to state and local officials.
We hope that it'll be a system which will better communicate between law enforcement authorities so that we have an integrated effort, so that we don't have any slips between the federal effort and the state effort and the local effort.
State and local officials are enthusiastic at the prospect of a new graduated threat warning system. Because the information is more specific, they will be able to target their responses, making them more effective and less expensive. They will be briefed by Governor Ridge today as the final details are hammered into place. Gene Meserve, CNN, Washington.
President Bush is on a mission to protect more shareholders from going the way of Enron. He's unveiling a 10-point code of corporate conduct. It would bar top executives found guilty of misconduct from serving on corporate boards. It would also require execs found profiting from erroneous financial statements to lose their bonuses. And it would require that they'd inform the public promptly when buying or selling stock for personal gain. An appearance at the Malcolm Baldrige Awards ceremony where Mr. Bush presented awards for excellence in business. He called his plan a return to basic capitalism.
Would you please remain standing?
pulled back from recent rallies on Thursday despite some encouraging comments about the economy from Federal Reserve Chief Alan Greenspan. Analysts said the pause was healthy. It allows stocks to consolidate the recent gains. The Dow lost 48 points to 10,525. The Nasdaq fell 8 points to 1881. Greenspan told a Senate Banking Committee that an economic expansion is well underway. That's a more upbeat appraisal than the one he gave a House panel last week. Today, Greenspan said a recent string of data indicates the recession is already over, but the recovery is likely to be moderate.
It will be a week before the Senate Judiciary Committee votes on Charles Pickering to the U.S. Court of Appeals. It was supposed to vote on the Mississippi federal judge today. The committee's senior Republican member, Orrin Hatch, requested the delay. President Bush and other Republicans are pushing for Pickering's confirmation despite opposition from the left. Critics say Pickering, a former president of the Mississippi Baptist Convention, opposes abortion rights and has been critical of the Voting Rights Act. They have also pointed to a law review article Pickering wrote more than 40 years ago, suggesting ways to amend the state's law banning interracial marriages so that it would pass constitutional muster. Up next, Kristen Knighton will be here with the weather forecast.
But first, here's a look at tonight's stock report.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brandy. How would you like to give hope to millions of the world's children? UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, is saving lives in over 140 countries by providing kids with medicine, clean water, nutrition, and education. With your help, UNICEF can make a huge difference in our world. For more information, call 1-800-FOR-KIDS. Thank you.
Watching Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
Kristen Knighton is here with the sports now. It was a very nice day today.
Yes, it felt like a spring day here in Clarion. We can expect for the warm front to bring in some higher temperatures in the next couple of days. Today was mostly cloudy and the high reached near 52. Looking at the satellite map, you can see that there's a cloud coverage which is moving over the eastern coast. The clouds will be more intense over the next couple of days. The coverage is scattered throughout the states, but more intense in central United States. Let's take a look at the map representing today. A warm front is moving in, along with the winds, which will make the temperature rise. In our area, there is not much precipitation occurring, yet it did drizzle this afternoon, but it should remain calm the rest of the night. The low will reach around 37 degrees tonight. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather. Tomorrow's temperature will skyrocket to a high of 66 degrees, so go outside and enjoy it. The cloud coverage will be heavier, but it doesn't look like it is going to rain. The low pressure system and the winds will bring about possible rain and snow showers for the weekend. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. Friday is cloudy, a high of 66 and a low of 46. Saturday is showers, a high of 64 and a low of 24. Sunday is snow, a high of 38 and a low of 15. Monday is mostly sunny, high of 50 and a low of 37. Tuesday, showers, a high of 56 and a low of 34. Hang in there over the weekend because the weekend will be beautiful next week.
Well, thanks, Kristen. It sounds like tomorrow's cold, so go out and enjoy yourself tonight.
Yep.
And okay, thank you very much. With Americans living longer and healthier, they are facing new questions about retirement. Not only what to do in retirement, but whether they will be able to afford to retire at all. An increasing number of them believe they will continue working past 65. More than 4 million people are already doing that. For some, it's because they want to keep working, but many others facing financial problems have no choice. Here's Mark Potter.
I don't see one. Now what are we going to do about that? Okay, who's the nurse? Marsha.
Mildred LaPerche is a full-time emergency room nurse at Baptist Hospital of Miami. She is 82 years old, still going strong. 13 years ago, she retired, but for only 4 weeks. She was fine financially, but missed the challenges of work and couldn't imagine sitting home with nothing to do.
It would be watching the Food Network. It would be playing solitaire. It would be walking my dog. It would be useless.
Thank you. Have a nice day and come again.
Juanita Reed is 74. After her husband died, she went to work at McDonald's in Tamarack, Florida, in part to be with people.
Long time no see. You've been away?
She also likes the regular schedule and can use the money.
I really enjoy getting up and going out, and the extra money does help. With the way the economy is today, if you can work, do it.
Labor statistics show a slight but steady increase in older Americans working in their retirement years, especially women. And with the first of the baby boomers approaching retirement, more and more people are expected to work later in life, and not just because they want to.
People are looking out there and saying, oh my goodness, 30 years of retirement. Do I have the wherewithal to afford that?
I find it financially difficult.
At a senior employment center in Miami, applications from people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s are on the rise. Many are desperate for work.
We have people that have literally sat here and they've cried their stories and they cry. And they need, please find me a job because I need this, I'm alone. Either they're divorced or their spouse died and I can't keep up with my payments.
Many seniors complain of rising health costs and diminished pension benefits and say Social Security isn't enough.
In a survey of baby boomers, 80% of those questioned by AARP said they plan to keep working, at least part-time, in their retirement years. A third of them predicted they, like nurse Mildred LaPerche, will want to keep working. But a quarter said they will need the money. Mark Potter, CNN, Miami.
Martise McCree from Martise's Minute is here to talk about the movie Moulin Rouge. Martise?
If you happen to be driving on California's Sunset Strip, be careful of distractions, especially the newest one. The makers of Moulin Rouge put up a live-action billboard to promote the movie. They hope the flashy dancing will generate some Oscar hype for the film. Not they need it. Moulin Rouge has 8 Oscar nominations, including Actress in a Leading Role, Nicole Kidman, Achievement in Art Direction, Achievement in Cinematography, Achievement in Costume Design, Achievement in Film Editing, Achievement in Makeup, Achievement in Sound, and Picture of the Year. A Puerto Rican circus held a female polar bear named Alaska in captivity, forcing her to perform in the tropical heat. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife officials brought Alaska back into the country and placed her in her new home, the Baltimore Zoo. Visitors will be happy to see Alaska, but definitely not as happy as Magnet, the zoo's male polar bear.
They're already getting to know each other. As we're speaking here in front of you, I can hear polar bear sounds going on behind me. She began talking early this morning and calling out. They're both very much aware that there's a new bear nearby, and so they'll first kind of get over that initial period, and we'll allow them to see each other, sniff each other, get close to each other, and then eventually actually introduce them.
With Martise's Minute, I'm Martise McCree.
Up next, April Johnson will be here with tonight's sports.
But first, here's a look at tonight's Pennsylvania lottery numbers. Hope you're a winner.
So, April, what's new in the sports world tonight?
Well, the Pittsburgh Panthers defeated Boston College this afternoon in the quarterfinals of the Big East basketball tournament. The number 7 ranked Panthers pulled through with a 76-62 victory. Coach Ben Howland said his team never gets concerned when they're down, and they just did what they wanted to do. That must be what works for Pitt, considering they have used that formula to win 8 straight games and 11 of the last 12. Next up for the Panthers is tomorrow night's semifinal facing the winner of tonight's Georgetown-Miami game. Well, this week in Atlanta, there is a NASCAR race, and this time it's 500 miles instead of 400 miles like the past 2 weeks. Here is CNN's Ray DeLacio with more.
When NASCAR started the one-engine rule, most in the garage were not sure how to react. The rule, which mandates that teams use the same engine to qualify, practice, and race with at each track, is something most in the garage felt was a good idea. That might need to be tweaked.
I'm kind of a fan of that rule, but by the same token, if we start seeing engine failure every week, NASCAR, I'm sure, will have to make some sort of adjustments for it. I think they're trying to save the owners some money, and it's a great idea. But if we start tearing up cars and breaking engines and not finishing races and hurt drivers, then you know, they're going to have to rethink it a little bit.
Now this week at Atlanta, after 2 weeks of 400-mile races, the distance goes up to 500 miles.
It is a 500-miler. It's 100 miles longer than we're used to running at, say, Rockingham and Vegas. It's going to be a true test. But all in all, if motors blow, that doesn't mean you go back to the other motor rule. That means the motor guys have got to put more durable parts in there, because this saves us so much money. It's really good.
After 2 weeks, just 5 motors have failed, all at Rockingham. Last year at Atlanta, under the old rules, 8 engines expired in the course of the race. With a NASCAR Minute, I'm Ray DeLacio.
Thank you, Ray. The Clarion University wrestling team is getting ready for the 27th EWL Championships, which are to be held at Lock Haven University on March 9th and 10th. Coach Ken Nellis is looking forward to the challenges his wrestlers will have at the tournament and believe the Eagles are mentally and physically ready to meet those challenges. Clarion is going into EWLs with a 6-11 dual meet record and a 3-4 slate in the Eastern Wrestling League. The Gold Eagles will feature 8th-ranked Brad Martinez, 8th-ranked John Testa, and 14th-ranked Eric Mauser. Last year, Clarion placed 4th in the tournament, and hopefully they can do just as well this year. If you want to see how they do, tickets will be available at the door at Thomas Fieldhouse in Lock Haven on Saturday. And that's all I have for the sports tonight, and back to you girls.
That's it for the TV5 Tonight. I'm Susan Honorad.
And I'm Courtney Wilson. Have a good weekend.